Welcome. Hi. I was on the fence of sharing this, but then I remembered how I found this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. Just look at that face, okay? This book found me quite auspiciously, really through synchronicity. So I was kind of in like a rabbit hole looking up Steve Jobs. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. No shame, I'm just gonna flow and share. I say synchronicity because I had my asana practice, but it wasn't as deep or serious, and I definitely wasn't aware of having the understanding that I have today by any means. Still, this found me in that way because I was in this rabbit hole, like watching interviews and just interested. I don't know why. I just being a nerd about it. And I had read this article where it said Steve Jobs gave everybody a copy of this book at his obituary, like his funeral. And I thought, that's odd. That's a very odd thing to do. I wonder, like, why? And then I read that also he read this book every year. And that also prior to Apple and during a lot of his like career, he would like go to India and ashrams and practiced yoga. And he was a yogi. I thought, okay, cool. Like, that's really cool. That inclined me to go and get the book, or really I got the audio version of it, which I highly recommend. The Ben Kingsley narration is fantastic. It really helps to paint the picture of this because it's quite the read. And honestly, if I were to have read it without that audio version, I probably wouldn't have felt so moved by it because he does it like much better justice than I would have. But eventually I did get this paperback copy, and I like to just flip it open sometimes and see where it lands. Part of it, is very, can relate to the modern yogi, but part of it, of course, is more of that journey inward that the yogi or the seeker, however you want to put that, can all relate to in our own ways. And so it's quite the journey, the exposition that we go on, right? And so I love this book for that because he speaks to his own experiences and they give a lot of like ground to our own experience. At least that's my feeling. When we have these more like spiritual or heart-based experiences, it's nice to have a reference. It's like I gave myself permission to go deeper into my spirituality once I started to read the experiences of Paramahansa Yogananda. I mentioned the whole like story behind it because I don't think if I saw this somewhere, I would have picked it up, There's that feeling of like, well, there must be something there. If someone who's quite literally changed the world and impacted so many lives is finding value in it. He said he read it every year. So I have to just like, no shame in saying that I wouldn't have probably took such an interest or looked at it, read it, if it weren't for that. And that's okay. That's okay. And that's part of why why I think it's so important for all of us to always just share whatever we receive. I think that's how we keep things flowing and coming back to us as well. And that speaks so much to books too. Books are offerings. Quite honestly, it's full of wisdom, and he himself is full of wisdom. If you're seeking some sort of guidance or advice, he's left so much behind that will help you, right? And what I mean by help you is point you in the direction of that internal wisdom inside. I like to just open it and sometimes just read a chapter or a story and see what happens, like see whatever is on the page. Usually there's something there for me that provides some sort of wisdom. But I was actually drawn more to the page before it, which is this Adam and Eve story. The first man and woman, beings in physical form, are called Swayambhuva Manu, man born of their creator, and his wife, having 100 images or forms. Their 5 children intermarried with perfect beings who could okay. From these first divine families was born the human race. Interesting. So yeah, that brings me into the next one, Light on Yoga, B.K.S. Iyengar. So this is a book all about yoga, asanas, and posture, and alignment. So what he did here was he compiled all these asanas. I'm just gonna flip through it, show you really quickly. Hopefully you can kind of see some of it. Look what he left. So he took pictures to show references and variations of all these postures and asanas. Same thing, but he calls them plates. Why does that matter? Okay, you know what I mean? Because it is about his contribution to practice. And what he did was he showed us, it's like we go to our class, our yoga class, and the teacher cues us, we have a flow, and then we go on with our day. But here, it really brings the true, experienced teacher, the master, so to speak, into your home, in the sense, with this book, with books like this as well. This isn't the only resource out there. This is just the one I'm sharing because it feels very accessible and broad for any level of practitioner. It applies. And when I say teacher, when I say experienced master, so to speak, we're not speaking about the personality or the man, the form or whatever. Of course, there's a person, there's a human being, and he did contribute in the world in this way, but it's not necessarily about that person or oh my God, this teacher or this person like that. That's not it. We're talking about through experience. They've gained this understanding and sharing that understanding with others. It's a human offering. It's an offering to humans, right? Which is why I was just so blown away when I flipped that open, because quite literally what yoga is doing, as we evolve and we share what we learn with others, we are evolving. And also as we work with the body, okay, through alignment, through yoga, through whatever other, it doesn't have to be yoga, it could be any other kind of art, we are evolving. Consciousness is lifting, awareness is becoming more present. And so I wanted to speak about alignment and postures because it's that important. The slightest cueing or difference in alignment in a posture is the difference between a transformative healing asana practice and just a movement practice. So what does that mean? It means we can heal the body with yoga or, like I said, any other kind of art like this. And this is a great example. He himself is a great role model for that too, because he quite literally did that. And then he left behind what he learned, right? He brought in props, so yoga blocks and straps, the wall and a chair. Of course, those things might have been kind of hinted at in other practices before, but it was never used in such a way and brought into surface world to the masses. Why is that so important? Because yoga, the postures, like I was saying, the slightest difference in your alignment is the difference between doing the pose correctly and not doing it correctly. It's okay because when I first began yoga, I was like that as well. It's kind of just, as long as I'm feeling good, I'm moving the body, I'm doing it correct because it feels good. And that's true. And we always want to listen to what feels good in the body. But why is it so essential to follow the guidance of a teacher or a more experienced person? Because they have gone through and learned that the alignment makes the difference. If you're looking to heal the body, if you do suffer from pain and discomfort in the body, and you are looking for more of a wholesome, balanced life through this practice, which it can very easily, or not easily, but it can definitely give you a more balanced, holistic life, wholesome life, following the guidance of an experienced instructor or teacher, however you want to put that, is essential, right? Because they know, because they've practiced, because think about it, they've spent day after day after day of their life for years doing a practice. You can heal the body. You can do that. If you didn't know, now you know. I'm sure you do. But truly, that power is within you to heal the body, to bring balance, equilibrium to the brain, the mind, the heart, the glands, the hormones, the moods, the thoughts. All of that is within you, as well as energy, prana, life force, your ability to focus and concentrate on the things that matter to you. Like, that's all tapped into as you practice. And of course, it's not just getting the body into a shape. It's not the pose itself that heals you, but it's the practice, the unfoldment of it, the journey to it. It's finding comfort in the challenging postures, the moments. It's synchronizing the breath with the movement. It's slowing down the heart rate. It's entering into that parasympathetic nervous system as you're bending backwards or folding forward or twisting the spine and elongating the spine, strengthening the spine, squeezing the internal organs, realigning everything in the body, and finding inner balance, inner harmony and connection while everything is, twisted and binding and everything is happening. And we're promoting healing and health and vitality and life when we do these things. And when we practice regularly every day, then that becomes transformative. We heal and have the power to heal ourselves, prevent also further injury or pain as well. So that is why it's like magical, and why I'm like sharing here, and why I think everyone needs to be sharing. A really beautiful way to think about all of this that I've said here is the fascia matrix. Fascia is this outer layer of the body, or the muscular system. Actually, it even connects the skin, right? So it's this outer layer of everything that is connected to everything. If I were to take a slice of my skin here and peel it back, it would keep going. It would just keep going. It would go to the very top of my skull. It would go all the way down to my feet. It wouldn't just stop at my elbow or my head. It would keep peeling, because that's fascia. Everything is connected into one whole. It's wholeness. It's that image of wholeness. That might have been a very violent image, thinking about the skin peeling off, but it works. So we tap into these deeper layers of how everything is connected as we practice. We learn, and the best way to learn is through experience. Always. It's one thing to say that everything is connected, and it's another thing to experience, like your feet, the sole of your foot here, very similar. The sole of your foot is very similar to that of your spine. And so I say that what that means to me is, like, if you're having back pain or bad posture that's causing pain, check your feet. What do I mean by that? I mean your standing posture with your feet. Pay attention. Are they rooted down, or are you like standing on tiptoes? Are you leaning on one edge of one foot more than any other part of the feet? Or can you find balance, root down through your heels, root down through all corners of your feet? Can you start to use the toes, lifting them, uncurling them, and spreading awareness and intelligence throughout the feet? That will have a huge impact on your spine, on your back, because it's going to influence the balance in your legs, the mobility in your hips, and that's going to influence the weight distribution of your back, your lumbar spine, your shoulders. And we begin to grow in this, or experience the awareness kind of awakening literally in us. And with that too, it's not just spiritual like awakening, it's interoception. That is being able to sense, are my shoulders stacked over my hips right now? Do I have to physically check, or could I just know that? That's interoception. And that comes in time. It's not easy at first, and that's okay. No judgment. It's just learning that the spiritual side is actually quite physical. It's quite tied in to all of this, as science, biology, and the body. It all really correlates. The mental stuff, the mind stuff too, is affected greatly by our practice, our asana, and the alignment. The postures are really designed to awaken that intelligence, send the awareness and the intelligence to every single part, every single cell in the body. And that is the process of awakening to yourself, right? That is the process of healing and transforming. And when I say it makes the difference between a healing transformative practice and just a movement practice, I know that some people, you might be someone who says movement, and it is that all-encompassing transformative thing that it is, right? But just to give that contrast, like, I'm not really, you can call your practice movement and have that embedded in the meaning for you as well. But just to make a point, some people, like I was one of these people, I used to be like this. I would just brush off some of the nuanced particular details that an instructor would give, or, that was expected of a posture, because something that I was doing felt better or it felt more organic. And there is a time, a place, and a space for that. But with this, it's different. It's a different thing. When you need to heal the body, or when you want to, or whatever, or simply become more connected to your, divine self, the divine nature, that's when we really get into those alignments, those nuances become much more, we're much more interested in that than the shape, the look, the feel of the pose or the practice, the movements. There's lots of other books and resources out there, and I encourage you to seek them out if you need to, if you're looking for more. For me, it has to do with the contribution to the practice, is why I chose this, like the props, the wall. It's brilliant, really. It's helped so many people, and it's brilliant because yoga, the asanas, is really all about relation to gravity, right? We're just human beings, like rooted somehow on a planet in space. It's the relationship to gravity that really, in the poses, of course, the shapes that we get into, the movements in the body. It's not just the shape. Know that it's the patterns of energy that we're tapping into in a subtler way. And so incorporating the wall or chair or straps or blocks is bringing in more support as we use gravity, the law of gravity, to open the body, open the fascia. The fascia itself is what shapes the body too. So, you can change the shape of your body, of course, to look different based on the way you train it. And the fascia is what decides that shape, right? It communicates with every cell in the body. And so it would be wise to have a practice that allows you to tap into that, right? I could go on for a long time about all this stuff, so I'm going to leave it here. And I'm just trusting that this is reaching whoever it's meant to reach, whatever piece of information needed to find you. I'm just trusting that it finds you and that it is what it is. And share this with others, or just share your practice, share yoga, share energy that is healing and inspiring and transformative, or that speaks to your heart. That is the very best thing we can do for each other. And that is the evolution as well. That's part of it. That's one of the most beautiful parts as well. Yes. Thank you for sharing this time, this space with me. As always, sending you love, sending you light, peace, and blessings on your way. So, Om.